Hi, Substack. Hi, everybody. Hi, y'all are asking where the 4 p.m. 5-Stack Live it is here. Sorry, we're about an hour late. Zev had some issues with power at Narrative HQ, and then we had a couple of issues with being able to hear each other, quintessential for a conversation. But we are here, and we've got lots to get to, and we're in Toronto, and we're in the United States of America today. And Zev, you brought a friend, which is kind of
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, joining us today is, she'll go by the name of T, because she's not disclosing her full identity, but this is the incredible Substacker that everybody knows as This Will Hold, who have been doing the most immaculate work on understanding what really happened in the 2024 elections. And now they've discovered some real anomalies in the recent Tennessee election count. So we'll get to all of that. But in the meantime, I just wanted to say hi, T. It's nice to have you join us here on the 5-Stack. I'm a huge fan of all the work you've been doing. Maybe you can tell folk, and Dean, a little bit about how you got going here on this story.
Well, full disclosure, I have a team, and I'm hyper protective of them. We're over 60 of us now, and we work, together, investigative, data analysts. We really have a little bit of everyone. We've got, legal scholars, professors, and of course, we've got our tech guys who know more than I would ever know ever in my whole lifetime. And so it's really a cumulative effort, and the Common Coalition is the name of our group. But, we really work hard to research everything, and we just watch the data. I mean, I love data, psychology and political science are my background. And then, of course, I was in the military for a long time. So we ended up on this path because, of course, the election, and we knew something was wrong and started doing some digging. And the more we dug, the more we found. And then if you look at the election landscape as a whole, the same experts that were sounding all the alarms 25 years ago are the same people in the same game, still sounding the same alarms. And we just sort of, I decided after Elon Musk nuked my I had a giant Twitter account that was 12 years old, 13 years old now. Nuked it for talking about the election. And I said, all right, I guess we need to find a new medium. And we shifted over to Substack. And here we are. So This Will Hold and the Common Coalition. And
So you're a bunch of veterans. There's people from the intelligence community involved in your group. There's analysts. There's people who work with numbers and election results. You're not just making the stuff up as you go along. This is real data that you're analyzing,
right.
And you've come to real conclusions. And you've also investigated how the technology worked around the elections last year, and how people like Elon Musk, may have been involved as well as other things.
Yeah.
So, that you have enormous credentials and almost 50,000 or more than 50,000 followers.
A little over 55. Yes. Yep. So,
fantastic. It's so good to
launched in June. So that's really, on Substack. I do think a lot of my followers came over from Twitter because one day my big account was there and then it went gone. So probably a lot of that was transfer, but we just don't get the same traction on Blue Sky. And frankly, I'm more of in the paper and writing. I'm not usually one for being in front of the camera. So this is actually just my second interview, but the team's been pushing me really hard to get out there more. So.
Oh, I'm so glad you're doing it.
So T, let me just ask you a question. How did you start This Will Hold, and what was the impetus for it?
So This Will Hold. It's kind of a nostalgic story. President Obama won his second term, and it gets me a little. I really just felt we were like, yes, we're on the right track.
Oh, you're emotional because you remember having a real president? Is that
that correct? And it's just we elected him not once but twice, and it's just one of those. I just thought, we're doing it. We're getting past this. And if people that know me personally know I pass as white, but I'm a person of color, and have a very interesting childhood and upbringing, and have been through a lot. And so to be able to, see him elected again, and I thought, yes, this will hold. And then if you look at it, TWH, the acronym is the White House. So,
oh, okay. Smart.
yeah.
Okay, so this is really a labor of love and a passion. This is something that was born during the Obama period.
Right.
For you, this will hold, and then you lose the country for a few years to Donald J. Trump. You get it back from Biden. You think you're on easy street. Now you have to bring this will hold back. And what I found really interesting about doing some research when I found you were on the show is that on the fringes and now kind of creeping into the mainstream is this idea that and Zev mentioned it, that there were real serious problems with the 2024 election. And I've watched your work really make its way into mainstream, and people like Dissent and Bloom have talked about it quite a bit. Zev's talked about it quite a bit. And it's kind of this like bubbling, I don't know, topic or secret that something was really wrong in 2024. I want to get to Tennessee, which is why you're here in just a second. But what is it that you noticed, if you could kind of walk us through that to kind of lay the tracks for why we're having the conversation about Tennessee?
Well, just immediately on election night, just a gut instinct, as we're watching numbers come in. And those of us who are familiar with data, and just to back it up a little bit, I have been working in legislation for over a decade now. And so it's not like I'm new to politics. And so I knew what to be looking for. And I also knew back in 2016, when everything happened with Hillary Clinton, those machines in Michigan that just went boom out of nowhere and then she just walked. Hillary Rodham Clinton does not walk away from an election unless she's told to. And so we knew that something was wrong even back then. We also knew Trump was a Russian asset. And so we just had eyes on everything, just watching it. And so when numbers started coming in, we were all, kind of having that sort of same Clinton like feeling in our gut. And I was actually at a politician's party who I had helped to try to get elected, and he didn't end up making it. And he should have. And once we unpack the rest of that data, we'll be able to prove that he did. But long story short, I left that party and everyone's like, "Why aren't you crying?" And I said, because I'm going home to figure out how they did it. Because I know they did it. Because these counties that should have been a double digit win barely squeaked out blue. These numbers make no sense. And how many Democrats do you know go in, and especially, on election day, not in early voting, not in mail-in voting, and decide they're going to vote blue down ballot and then choose Donald Trump at the top of the ticket? That's
Brilliant. Not likely. Not
no.
likely.
So,
No, so what were the anomalies that you noticed? Sorry, Zev, I
No, no,
just need
go
to, I
ahead.
got to lay the
Yeah.
tracks
No,
for
no,
me
go for
because
it.
otherwise I'm going to just sit here like a bump on a log, and I'm trying to get as much information as I can out of T. So
You
sorry.
do what you need to do, sir.
data that we were able to see quickly, pulling the CRVs and backing into the numbers and seeing that supposedly, well, and also with people of color, you've got certain neighborhoods that are Asian or Hispanic, and their numbers were coming in at a tenth of what they should have been when we knew they were registered and we knew they were voting. And, we're canvassing these areas saying, hey, how much of your community do you think voted? And they're like, oh, at least 60%. And it's like, really? Because according to this data, it only says 22%. And they're like, that's insane. That's got to be a typo. So just being able to see the data and then back into the numbers, and again, knowing that, if you look at Nevada, well, basically all the swing states, that in the swing states, that these down ballot numbers are supposedly all these Democrats going in on election day and saying, I'm going to vote for all of these blue candidates or propositions or whatever it is that they've got that they're checking for, but then I'm going to vote for Donald Trump at the top. So we knew it was either a vote flipping algorithm, which we thought at the time most likely and probably still is in some areas, or what we're looking at right now with DDHQ.
Can
That's
I?
unbelievable. Is it? It's funny because, like, to your point, I was stunned the next morning. I'm like, there's no way this guy's going to win. I mean, the run up to the election visually, you just couldn't see it. The polls didn't say that everything was pointing towards, Kamala Tim Walz. Everything, like absolutely every metric, everything was.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get into the Latinos in Miami and how he rooked certain communities with influencers. I don't want to get into that. and this has been one of those subjects that, I never want to be a sore loser. I never want to be one of those guys that's like, well, it's rigged, because I just watched some asshole do that for like 4 solid years. It was rigged. It was rigged. He's still fucking doing it. Pardon my language. If you have a problem with swearing, I might swear a little bit today. I'm just letting you know.
Gosh, you get to know me better.
All right, T. I will. I hope to. It's interesting because I've sort of followed that, what your work has been kind of disseminated by other people, and now having a chance to talk to you about it, it makes even less sense. And as does, specifically reading your Substack on Afton Bain and how she lost to Matt Van Epps seems to be a very eerie story there that played itself out again less than a year after the same story played out in those swing states.
Yep. Well, and it's really just about the math, right? So if you just take emotion out of everything and you just look at the math. And so what we saw in the swing states, and binomial math is, anybody don't get knickers in a twist. This is not, true binomial math, but for simplification reasons, if you take all 7 swing states from 2024 and you put that with him winning just above the threshold for an automatic recount. And then you take that 88 counties all flipped red and not a single county flipped blue. There is a 1 in 50 octillion chance of that happening without evidence. That is 28 zeros. And so when you look at that math and then on top of it, it's like 88. Really? Come on. Like anybody that knows history knows what 88 means, right? That's Elon Musk trying to be funny, and it's not funny. So, of course we've been hammering those numbers out there, but then when we look at what happened with Afton, it's the same thing. It's the math. When they're reporting that 99.4% of the vote is in, and they're bragging that they are real time 40 times per minute, they're updating. And we knew where to look because we caught them already. So at this point, we've laid traps and we're watching and we're seeing the numbers coming in, we're seeing them coming in. And then it hits this number and they're calling the race. And then out of nowhere, 31,000 votes come in. And it's like, no, you don't just gain another 17%. That's crazy. So we knew, again, they did it. And this time we think it was through the DDHQ route. So it's.
Well, let's back up here a little bit if we can, just to give people some real grounding in what happened on that election night on Tuesday. Tell people what DDHQ is, because a lot of people are wondering, what is that?
So the reporting services, whenever you're watching, I actually have a graphic that I want to show you guys if I can get it to pull up. When you're watching, all the stations, whether it's Kornacki or whoever is your favorite,
they give you a feed of all these results. You get to see them at the bottom of the screen. You get to see it when they show the results. It all comes from 2 or 3 different suppliers. I know. I've worked in those networks. I've seen those feeds come in there. Generally, you go into a sequestered room and there's an election committee deciding when they can call results. But it's just the same feed from 3 different suppliers, basically.
Right. Yep. And so DDHQ is the one that is supposed to be, the fastest with the most updating, because again, they say that they are updating, 40 times a minute. So they're supposed to be live results. And it's our, hypothesis that what is actually happening is that they are hooked into the system of record. And just so that we're clear, we are not accusing DDHQ of doing anything. A bad actor could absolutely be hacked in through DDHQ to the system of record, and they're controlling it from there.
Right. So on Tuesday night, there was a 99.4%, so 99.4% reporting, and the election was called for the Republican in that race, and this is District 7, I believe, in Tennessee's election. And what happened was DDHQ showed 148,000 votes at that time.
So it's not DDHQ directly, it's news stations that use their service. And so, they're saying 99.4, the election's called, and they've got that number, which
148,853 votes, I think was the total. And then right after that, sorry, go ahead.
And then 31,000 votes show up. So if you're at 99.4%, you're looking at roughly 1,000, 1,500 votes left out there. If you're
right. And
you
it's
don't
dead,
have 31,000 left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes total sense to me. They've only 0.6% of the vote is remaining, and they've already counted 148,000.
0.6% of 148,800.
Yeah, is not
That's not 31,000.
31,000. No.
That's around 1,100. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So where did the extra 30,000 votes come from? And you're not even saying that the Republican didn't win. You're just saying there's something weird going on here, and we need a recount in order to understand what happened on Tuesday. It may be that Afton won. It may be the Republican guy won. But just to understand exactly what's happening would be very important in terms of a recount.
Well, and then if you also saw on the post that we put out there, there's a chart. If you see the way that the data is skewed, there's that similar pattern of votes are building for him and lowering for her as the numbers go up. And that's something that we also identified in the 2024 election, which again looks like a vote flipping algorithm. But in this case, we think it's the DDHQ situation.
It's really unlikely that you would get this, obviously. So there's obviously something wrong with the numbers. What is the process for a recount? What do people need to do?
So the candidate herself has to, in Tennessee, and that's the trouble, right? Again, with this whole, it's also problematic. If there's anything that this will hold and the Common Coalition does or is able to do is expose the rot, because they have gotten so good at rigging on the front end and then delaying on the back end long enough to where we only have until September on the 2024 election to get access to ballots. And so
Okay.
delay until it's really sunk cost fallacy, right? You're throwing good money after bad, just filing lawsuits and trying to get in there. In Tennessee, they've made it incredibly difficult to challenge elections. She has to challenge it herself through a civil lawsuit, and who knows how long it would take to get access to the ballots. But again, public support. The more people who are aware of how affected our elections have been over the course of the last 25 years. And that's the biggest point that we want to make, is that this isn't a new thing. All Elon Musk did was put election, stealing on steroids. I mean, he's got access. And
when you say that, that's a pretty dramatic statement. What do you mean? What Elon Musk did is put elections?
Well, I mean,
Yeah, now we're getting to the good shit.
Yeah. Let's get heated up.
So I think our first article that really took off. If you've seen all the footage of Trump thanking him for how good he is with those vote counting computers, and you saw that he launched those low Earth orbit direct to cell satellites, literally spent a year building out this entire network that truly all of the tech folks, mine included, were freaking out at how quickly he was building it, and then he wasn't bragging about it. So from a behavioral perspective, this guy likes to talk about everything, right? Regardless of whether or not he's going to do it. Hey, I'm going to do blah, blah, blah. And then it doesn't happen, but he's bragging about doing it. He pulls off one of the most, amazing technological feats in modern history, and I think tweeted about it twice. So that in and of itself was bizarre. But one of my own texts in April of last year, and not that us saying anything back then would have done anything, because clearly we've been screaming at Democrats for a year now and they haven't acknowledged it. But they said, he said in April of last year, Elon Musk is about to steal the election.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are. But those low Earth orbit, satellites, people don't understand what they can do. So when we talk about air gapping is not, with the equipment, that's not a non-issue at this point. With these satellites, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
You're talking about Starlink, right, T?
Yeah. It's Starlink, but it's not the traditional Starlink that he put up first. It's that whole network that he put up and that he activated the week before the election.
On that hurricane, this is a story I broke a few weeks or months ago when we discovered that he got this authorization around allowing these satellites to operate because of the hurricane that had hit Kentucky or somewhere. I'm not even sure it was. North Carolina, I think. And somehow Starlink was given authorization to basically get into all the cell networks because it was giving people these early warning systems. And the same thing happened, and we also discovered at the same time that there was this anomaly in the voting machines that allowed the air gap to be sort of a non-issue, because they used to keep voting machines air gapped from the other machines and other internet connectivity. And what they did instead was they were being able to, they think maybe through power supply chains or other ways, get some of that data from the power supplies of the voting machines into the actual voting machine data supply. And this is all very, very technical, but the point is that he had the capability. Whether he used it or not is unclear, but he had the capability in the last election to really interfere in those results if he wanted to.
So, and that's what I would ask you too, because there was something that happened the day of the election where Rogan talked about it. Several other people around Musk talked about it. Elon Musk, he's at Mar-a-Lago. He whips out his phone a couple hours into voting, and he goes, "We won." And he had it on his phone, and then he literally stood up and left.
Yeah.
And nobody saw him again. Hasn't been back to Mar-a-Lago since. And obviously they've had a falling out, et cetera, et cetera. So there are a couple of stories, that are not urban myth that sort of feed into this idea or this hypothesis, which I find really, really fucking interesting right now, T.
Well, and the New York Times did a piece on him as well, and it touched a little on several aspects, his parenting and all the things. But one of the comments that they highlighted in there was a text conversation that he had with a colleague. And he said, "I'm feeling better after tonight. It's time to unleash the new anomaly in the matrix. It's something they've never seen." And then he followed up and said, "Lasers from space." And there are so many things like that between the Joe Rogan comment, him telling Tucker Carlson he'd be going to prison if Donald Trump didn't win. Even his purchase of Twitter 49 days after Putin invaded, and at 20 billion over market and unsolicited bid, then he converts it immediately to a pro-Russia, go Trump dumpster fire. And then we find out he's been communicating with Putin for a couple of years. And I'm tapped into several Ukrainian, military networks. They were long ago saying, "Hey, we're finding Starlink. These dudes have Starlink." That's treason. It comes with accoutrements. I say that all the time. So when he says he was probably going to go to prison, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
He was in touch with Putin on a regular occasion. Remember, he even helped Putin at one time with his Starlink servers by taking them out of commission when they were trying to do an operation in Crimea.
Mhm.
So, this guy has a relationship with Putin that goes back a long time. I don't have a conversation with Putin on a regular basis. Dean, do you have regular conversations with Putin?
No, I hope to avoid those, actually.
Yeah. Gee, do you? I mean, it's so bizarre that this guy he's rich, he's well known or whatever,
Not wanting to be on the list of murderous dictators. Thanks.
yeah. But who, hey, Vladimir, I'm going to help you out. The thing that T found out about this, Dean, is amazing, because the thing that she found out about these sort of, what do you call them, ghost counties? These counties that don't exist, that were in the data for last November's elections. This is the truly most unbelievable, although it checks out, story. And T can tell us about it, that they found these 5 counties that just appeared in the states that didn't
Well, like phantom counties where they had vote counts that were in favor of one candidate, not the other, and those counties don't exist. Is that correct?
Don't exist in those states. They exist in other states.
Florida, they had over 6 million votes banked in Burke County. And this specific network is talking about Burke County and how the old Puerto Ricans live there. And it takes him a couple of minutes. You can kind of see the guy's face as he figures out that Burke County, that something's wrong, and he switches gears to go to Miami-Dade. But they talk about, Burke County for a good couple of minutes. And we discovered that one, and then 4 others, all in swing states. And what we're seeing is that, again, with this DDHQ situation, they've got these votes and they're banked there. And that is what we're thinking is what happened. And it's probably what's happened with the Tuesday election as well, is that they're banking votes. And that's why we're seeing these numbers shift, because millions of votes disappeared for Harris. And this specific project, we didn't find the fake counties until recently. What we were trying to get to the bottom of was why millions of votes were disappearing. And if you had seen my Substack in the spring before it got nuked, I kept asking that question. I'm like, guys, how come hundreds of that, almost 1 million votes disappeared for Harris in Michigan? And of course, MAGA comes at you. Well, how did Joe Biden get, we woke up and he had all these, and I'm like, okay, addition versus subtraction.
Yeah.
Really, the votes don't disappear for no reason. And so we just kept digging and digging and digging until we found this situation with the fake counties. And then it's like, ding, it's the DDHQ, and they have vote banks. And what they're doing is yanking from the candidate that they want to lose and then inserting votes for the one that they want to win.
I can go through these counties.
Sorry. This is.
Go ahead. Yeah,
hang on. I just
amazing.
I just have to. So, do you have like forensic proof this is happening and has happened?
Well, what we have is what we've been able to record off of the stations that we've found them on. We would have to be able to audit. So that would be the next step, is to request an audit. And again, we're not accusing DDHQ of anything. This could 100%
Sure.
be an actor infiltrating.
Yeah. Yeah, someone who's got a straight pipe into DDHQ. No one knows where he is. Probably an incel, parents' basement, getting paid a lot of money while he's eating corn chips. That kind of thing. Like you're not suggesting DDHQ or anybody else has done anything untoward. You're saying someone is gaming the system outside is what it looks like to you.
And it could be a Musk adjacent individual, or it could be DDHQ, because the fella that is the major shareholder of DDHQ he was Marco Rubio's head, cyber guy for years.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and he's got.
And how about the dude, the bot? Was it Smartmatic or Dominion? Who's a Trump loyalist? Trump.
Yeah, we've got a new one. So at this point, we're just really advocating for going back to paper, because, again, the way that it was all set up in 2000 with the hanging chads, truly, we're all freaking out about hanging chads. And then a year later, Caltech and MIT do a study and put it out. And they're like, hey, while y'all were all staring at the hanging chads, 6 million votes disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
Well, use the hanging chads as a reason to make electronic voting, we need it now because this can never happen again. Well, really, that was the GOP's way of, hijacking the system.
Jen asked a great question. Sorry, what is a banked vote? Maybe you could fill everybody in.
Well, so you would view it as like a storage container, and you're holding all, millions of votes. And when numbers are where you want them to be, because again, remember, they're trying to keep within thresholds. You're adding and subtracting and trying to stay on top of those numbers so that you won't have an automatic recount. So it's just a place to move votes to and from. Sure that your candidate wins.
Yeah, got it.
And it's really interesting, this anomaly of these counties that showed up. I mean, they only showed up, if it only showed up once, it would be an anomaly. You could say, explain it away, maybe it was a mistake, but
right.
It happened 5 times. I mean, this Burke County that was displayed as being in Florida. There is no Burke County in Florida. No. It exists in Georgia and North Carolina.
Right, and Hamilton County. Yeah. There were 5, and they were, again, in the swings. So, and that's just
Stafford County in Pennsylvania, Allen County, North Carolina, Oklahoma County in Michigan, and Hamilton County in Georgia. Those counties did not
those counties don't exist in those states, but they do exist in other states?
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
They do. Yeah. Which is so interesting. They happen to exist in other states, so they sound familiar to election watchers. Actually, you think, oh yeah, maybe that's Oklahoma County. No one thinks that maybe Oklahoma County isn't in.
This is greasy. This is so greasy. Oh my God.
If it wasn't Elon Musk and it wasn't Donald Trump, you would think maybe we're crazy. This is a conspiracy. But because it's those guys, and because of the alignment with Russia, and because of the Starlink capability, and because Donald Trump went around saying, I don't need any more votes during the last election.
Vote for me, you'll never have to vote again. Yeah.
And because the worst president in the United States was reelected, you sort of think, hey.
And listen, here's the thing. He's running around acting like he doesn't ever have to get elected again. He's running around doing shit like he's going to be a king forever, right? Like he is not acting like a guy who's stumping for reelection at all, to your point. Sorry, T, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're 100% right. I mean, he's building a ballroom. You don't build a ballroom because you intend to leave.
Building a palace, more like it. T, thank you so much for bringing this to us. Dina, is there anything else you want to know about this particular election story? Should we move into some of the other big stories that are happening today?
Well, T's a veteran. So, there's another thing that's cooking right now that I wanted to talk to T about, and maybe you could set it up, because Admiral Bradley showed up today to a closed-door hearing. Rep Jim Hines came out and said, what I just heard and what I just watched is some of the most disgusting, terrible shit I've ever seen in my whole life. We're talking, of course, about the 83 murdered individuals in the middle of the Caribbean. and wanted to get your thoughts on this because Pete Hegseth is out there tweeting about how no big deal, and he's got Franklin, Canadian loved turtle, by the way, cartoon blowing, putting memes of Franklin the turtle blowing people out of the water, which is just disgusting. You have 83 dead people, and you've got Pete Hegseth dancing on their graves. Now you obviously have an issue. And the issue is you've got the GOP. It's a bipartisan group, Senate Oversight Committee, House Intelligence Committee, Armed Services Committee, that are hauling him, Admiral Bradley, who was the guy that gave the order, and Admiral Bradley is apparently telling a couple of stories in these closed door hearings that are not going well. I just want your thoughts on whether or not you think this is going to go anywhere in terms of accountability for Pete Hegseth. And if you can, I mean, you spent a lot of time in the service. As I understand it, you're not supposed to murder people who are adrift at sea just because they're adrift at sea. Is that correct?
Correct. I mean, regardless of first and foremost, we're not at war, so it's murder.
Correct. Yeah.
Second, even if we were at war, it's still murder. I mean, the Geneva Convention is very clear, and so Pete Hegseth belongs in prison for the rest of his life. And as someone who takes my oath very seriously, my oath will go to the grave with me. And every single service member should understand that, Nuremberg 1.0 was for real, and we will have a Nuremberg 2.0. And if you do not stay true to your oath, you're going to find yourself in the hot seat. And that's what it needs to be, because these guys that are carrying out these orders, they know better. SEAL Team 6 knows better. I mean, that is absolutely, I read that story and well, all of it. First of all, the fishermen, we have no beef with Venezuela. They just want the oil. It is, there's more oil in Venezuela than there is in Saudi. Let's get to brass tacks here. Okay.
Yep.
So that's what this entire thing is about. And we sent we sent the Ford. Okay. The Ford is truly, that vessel is the most technologically newest. It beats all Warcraft in terms of anybody in the world. You don't send
The firepower capability, et cetera. Yeah.
There's just
put
no
her out there because she's pretty. Okay, you put her out there because she's lethal,
right.
and down there for a reason, because they're fully intending to invade, and it's because of oil. This is Iraq 2.0.
As a veteran, though, can you imagine a situation where your commander is telling you to do something completely illegal?
Oh,
And you have to challenge it. What do you have to do in that situation? You have to challenge it, right? But also, you're in the middle of war. You're in the middle of a conflict situation, even if it's not war. Let's say you're in a tense situation, and your Secretary of Defense is ordering a kill that your commander, your admiral, is then going in and ordering it, and you have to do it. I mean, it's it's the toughest circumstances that they're putting all these military personnel in. I mean, it's just incredible to think of the pressure they're already under. And then on top of that, they've got to make these calls about whether it's legal or not, which they expect their commanders to give them legal orders.
Yeah, you have to refuse. And if you don't, you're going to have to be prepared to face consequences at some point. I mean, if you look at what happened with some of the guys from Iraq and some of the stuff that they did, which Pete Hegseth actually advocated for their pardons, which they got, but they were murdering civilians. It's the same thing. It's this Eric Prince garbage where, brown people don't matter. And, again, with Hegseth and his power trip, I can't imagine being one of those generals, admirals, any of the brass in that room and having that dude drone on for an hour. And if I was in the position of Admiral Bradley, and I believe, his name just went right out of my head, but the admiral before him was
Halsey
walked away. Halsey walked.
Yeah.
Got to go because he knew it wasn't right.
Okay, so if I can too, I mean, when you talk about how this is illegal, this is literally in the textbook. If someone's shipwrecked, you can't kill them just because they're shipwrecked. Like it's literally in the Armed Services textbook, the handbook about extrajudicial killings. Correct?
No, we don't. Yeah, no, you don't kill survivors. That's not a thing ever. So it's beyond the pale that first of all, that they're even doing it in the first place, because we shouldn't be just murdering civilians on the sea. And then second, to double tap like that? Absolutely not. I can't. So
Even if they were carrying drugs, even if they were carrying narcotics, even if they were doing any of these,
even if again, no. So he should face consequences. And hopefully that'll be what ends up happening.
Do you have friends still in the service?
I do.
Obviously, without giving names, what do they think of him? What do they think of Pete Hegseth?
Oh, they're horrified.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're horrified. They think he's awful.
Okay.
So, I mean, truly, and we're watching, we are watching a exodus of MAGA on multiple levels. The Common Coalition, we've got people in about 8 different groups just kind of planting seeds, and we have been actually for a long time trying to shift the tide. We are very much of the mindset, get in the boat, just pick up an oar and row. We're not doing this whole you got what you vote for, blah, 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 because these people are losing everything. And if you view it from the standpoint really of conditioning and just this incubator of, it's like Jim Jones on steroids, right? They get, and again, Fox, if I had my way, we would disassemble the Murdoch empire and sell it for parts. And it has truly turned a group of Americans into these people who believe all of this. And it's like they're coming out of a cult. And a lot of them are military, and a lot of these bases, they only get Fox. It's like one of the only stations that comes across as English. And so, when you're hearing that all the time, it's piped into your head, and you're like, yeah, go Army, go whatever branch you're in. And you really think these are the enemies. And now you're realizing you've been snowed all these years. It's really, really a massive deprogramming that we're watching, and we're happy about it. But we got to handle this Venezuela situation. Like now, Congress needs to step up and do the same thing that they did with the Epstein files. They need to do something similar and pass legislation to pull back our military and get them out of that water.
Absolutely. I should just mention on Admiral Alvin Halsey today. This is the story for the Wall Street Journal that I think was really important. They apparently, according to them, Hegseth basically told Halsey, you're either on the team or you're not. When you get an order, you move out fast and you don't ask questions. So it's the same situation. This is the guy who's the commander of this entire region of the U.S. military, and he's being told by the Secretary of War, basically, you have to follow these orders or else you lose your job. This is not typical of the military. This is not the rule of law, and it's the same situation. People being forced to do things that they're, are blatantly illegal.
Yep.
Well, that was encouraging. It's all about, as Lev Parnas just said in our chat, black gold, ladies and gentlemen. That's the interest of Greenland. That's the interest in Canada. That is the interest in Venezuela. And if you want to know more about this surging story around vote tallies, banked votes, counties that don't exist, This Will Hold is the name of the Substack channel. You need to subscribe to them. If you could see the chyron at the top here with everybody's name in a little great thing, it's got the thing, names going across. Hit that right now, and you'll automatically subscribe to everybody, including T, including This Will Hold. And I need you to go and support their work, because they're not just presenting their work, they're clandestinely trying to bring the country together with intelligence, with math, with data. And these are real patriots doing an incredible job. You have an incredible Substack. Thank you so much, T, for spending some time with us today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And by the way, I found out just before we got on that that you shit posted me in a tweet or in a Substack note, and your shit post went viral. And I have to say this: good job.
There you go. Who knew?
Yeah.
I was polite about it, though.
Oh, yeah, always. Substack's great that way. At least it's not Twitter. It's very, very different. Nobody said that they had pictures of me with underage girls after I tweeted something. That's why I like Substack. You never get called a pedophile. It's great, and you can just share opinions, and everybody can hang out. But no, listen, great to meet you, T. Keep up God's work. Honestly, thank you so much for taking time with us today.
You got it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks so much, T. Really appreciate it. Great to meet you. All right. Well, that's really a great treat.
Stunning shit.
I love her, and I absolutely love finding out all this information about What they're discovering around the elections, both on Tuesday night and last November, is fascinating. We were on the air live that night, and we both felt it. I mean, we knew what was coming. We expected the polls to deliver the result, and then it just turned on us like halfway in. You felt all the air come out of the room, when these results kept pouring in, and they proved that. Of course, Trump was winning, and it felt like a deflation, but it also felt like something was wrong, and it's felt like it's been wrong ever since then. And now this data is coming out, and I think it's bearing out.
I've for the longest time, 10 months, almost 11 months now, I didn't want to talk about the story as it continued to grow, right? Because you never wanted to be that sour grapes guy.
Yeah.
We watched Trump weaponize the word rigged. Still does it all the time because his mind is mush. He's so fucked, by the way. I don't know if you saw him fall asleep today when he was at his own peace summit.
That was really something else. This was an historic moment. This was not just another cabinet meeting.
Rwanda and the Congo, they put everything down and they show up, and Donald Trump's like, hey, you guys got this is nice. You like it? You like this? You like this? Everybody's happy. We're gonna make a lot of money. Rare earth. I'm gonna buy the rare earth. And then he sits down and he listens to all these other guys talk about the special moment, about this armistice between these two African countries, and he literally fucking falls asleep again.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, it really is quite stunning to me. I don't know if can you still hear me? The audio's been all over the map.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. I can, firstly, he's naming the Institute of Peace after himself.
The Donald J. Trump Institute of Peace.
Dean, what is wrong with this man? What is wrong with this man? I mean, can you imagine Nelson Mandela ever advocating for something like that? Can you imagine
putting his name on buildings in the middle of the night when no one's watching? Because that's what happened. And if you missed that story today, so the peacetime president who's threatening to murder everybody in fucking Venezuela, who's kicking the shit out of his own citizens, who's cleared the deck for Russia to continue their genocide in the United States of America, who's deporting naturalized citizens, who's promised to hang fucking senators and congressmen and anybody who speaks out against his illegal orders, hang them. Sedition, punishable by death. Named a building after himself today called the Donald Trump Institute of Peace. Now, this was the old United States Institute of Peace, which several months ago he gutted, took all their funding, got rid of the board, got rid of everybody in the building. So effectively, this is a derelict building that he has just commandeered with his name on it because he fucking felt like it. And then today he brings, I think it's the Rwandan and Congo president. They're in town. He's basically told him to cool it because what he wants to do is win a fucking Nobel Peace Prize more than anything in the world. And he always looks disinterested. He fucking could not even make it through the first 5 minutes of someone else's speech. He is only awake and barely when he's talking. And if he's not talking, this guy has nodded off. And I counted this week 27 times. He has fallen asleep in every one of his press availabilities, including what happened today with the Democratic Republic of Congo and the president of Rwanda standing in front of him going, thank you so much for the peace deal. And he's like,
and looks terrible. He looks jaundiced. Oh, he looks like he's just not there.
Well, that's the bronzer. Yeah. Like, you know what he looks like? Honest to God, if you catch him on a golf weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know if your mom was the same as my mom, but there was like Saturday, Sunday Sue, and there was Monday through Friday Sue. My mom's name is Sue. And she wouldn't leave the house unless she had makeup on. And then you'd see her on a Saturday morning. You'd be like, hey, who's that?
Yeah. And you're like, who is that? Get a little fright in the morning. You know what's really...
That's Trump. That's Trump. And today he had a lot of fucking bronzer on because, to your point, he is very, very sick. Story that we're going to get to this weekend, and we're going to break for you on Monday, by the way. I'm getting to it.
Okay. I'm excited about that. The other thing about this Congo Rwanda story, I mean, firstly, this building that he's now named after himself is the Donald J. Trump Institute of Peace. He doesn't even have rights to the building. The building is basically illegally taken over by the Trump administration. And they had to get a special court injunction to let this happen. This is not a legal thing. And on top of that, the reason they're really interested in a Congo-Rwanda deal is because they want all the lithium in the ground in Congo. This is all really about Elon Musk's need for lithium batteries and rare earth minerals that come out of the Congo, which is where a lot of this stuff comes from.
Yep. Yeah, keep in mind this is the day after he said Somalia was a shithole and everybody from Somalia is a terrorist, and he's going to get all the Somalians out. Like, he doesn't like that African country. He shit talks every other African country, unless, of course, he can have access to. And you can bet your ass you're going to see a report in the next couple of days come out. There's like, Trump crime family takes 2% of this lithium mine in this city or in this town in Africa. And it'll
Absolutely.
be on the bones of this deal and years of civil war and strife, because that's what Donald Trump's doing. He's monetizing peace deals. These aren't peace deals. He's just looking for a way to insert himself, promise everybody he's going to stop the war. He'll get his deal, he'll get his money, and then he walks away. Case in point, Gaza. I mean, they're kicking the shit out of each other there right now. And he doesn't get his hotel until they clean out all of Gaza. So he's just biding his time and waiting. He's now begging the state of Israel to give Benjamin Netanyahu a pardon, who's
And
under
that's really
criminal
the point.
investigation. Yeah.
There's this quid pro quo that he's doing in every location.
Yeah.
He's getting Gaza, but the return is that he has to sort of let Bibi off the hook. So, Bibi's going out publicly yesterday at the New York Times Deals conference saying, I should be getting this pardon because history is upon us and whatever. He's basically lobbying in the United States for the United States president to back this pardon. When this guy is potentially a war criminal, but also has many other crimes that he's already being investigated for, shouldn't be in power, and wants to stay in power only because he wants to stay out of prison. And he's trying to negotiate this deal with the president of the United States in exchange for Gaza, again, territory that doesn't even belong to Israel. It's territory that belongs to the Palestinians. So to suddenly hand over, this in exchange for a pardon for Bibi Netanyahu is insanity. It's just sort of the height of corruption.
You know what? Take that to your pardons too. All the other pardons that he's given people, right? There's a quid pro quo in all of those. If they're not paying for them, they're going to help him. You can take that to the real estate deal he's currently doing with Putin over Ukraine. This is a real estate rare earth energy deal. It is nothing more, nothing less. He doesn't give a shit about peace. He cares about money and how he can take these opportunities to enrich himself, spin the narrative into him being the peacetime president, and someone needs to give him a Nobel Peace Prize. It is truly one of the most fucking egregious grifts, self-enrichment schemes and scams maybe in the history of humanity. And I'm not talking, like, nobody, there isn't a scholar who's ever seen anything like it. And that is the importance of the Epstein files. That is the importance of flipping the house. That is the importance of people like you that come here to listen to people like us. That is the importance of following us, subscribing to us. This conversation we had today with T from This Will Hold, and everybody needs to go and subscribe to her. That is the importance of independent media. Because if it were not for people like us, platforms like this, if it were not for people that have better angels on their shoulders going, no, you need to go tell the truth on behalf of the Republic. This is the fruit of this life. Then the entire world is kettled in the cult. And T brought up something where and I was fucking shocked, but not shocked, that on military bases around the United States, they only have Fox News, English language news. That's all they pipe into these bases. And
they used to have AON. That was the other thing they used to put through there.
On military bases?
Yeah.
AON. Yeah. Like, this is the most fucking criminal enterprise ever. Not named Hitler, not named Mao Zedong, not named Mussolini. This is a fascist group of assholes that are trying to literally warp the fucking brains of people. I wouldn't put it past them to steal 2024. I wouldn't put it past them to fuck around in Tennessee with the 7th Congressional District. I wouldn't put faking an assassination attempt past these pricks. I wouldn't put anything past these guys. Absolutely nothing at this point. Because Malcolm Nance said it best, this is only about cash money. That is it.
And back to what she said about Elon Musk, just to add to your point there about the richest man in the world being a part of this cabal trying to do all sorts of crazy things and rigging the elections in 2024. Now, I'm willing to say he rigged them. There's no evidence that he did that final rigging, but I'm willing to say that everything circumstantially that we can see around what he was capable of doing on election night, the capabilities that he'd amassed through Starlink, the ability to get into those cell towers, the ability to even access the power supply units of each of these voting machines. All of that suggests to me that he likely did do it. Plus, the election results were weird. No one expected Donald Trump to win. Not a single poll suggested that Donald Trump was going to win.
He didn't expect to win.
And then suddenly he did. And then you've got that moment with Elon Musk. Why isn't Elon Musk under investigation by the Congress? I mean, we've seen them become quite brave around Epstein. We've seen them become quite brave around what's going on now with the military around Hexet. Maybe they can grow the same set of balls and deal with Elon Musk and the corruption that happened last November in the elections and possibly on Tuesday.
You know, I think a good place to wrap up today would be, let's lump a couple of topics in and let's look ahead, hopefully. Okay? Let me do that for everybody today. Okay? Uncle Dean is going to take you on a bit of a positive mental journey.
I wish I had music. It needs music.
Yeah, me too. You know the naming of the U.S. Institute of Peace, slapping up those giant metal letters, the Donald J. Trump Institute of Peace.
Biggest font you can imagine. Yeah.
Biggest, huge. He just put Donald J. Trump above the actual name, United States Institute of Peace. Like, that's literally what he did. So keep that in mind. These elections, 2024, Tennessee, keep those in mind. ICE funding them. By the way, I've got a fucking hilarious story coming out about ICE and the qualifications you need and the kind of candidates that they're currently rushing through training. It's so fucking funny and awful at the same time. His profit taking, the theft of American taxpayer dollars, the tariff scam, the pardon scam, all of these sit in the same basket to me. And I'll tell you what that basket is. I look forward to a day when we have competent leadership running the United States of America, more than most people, someone like Mark Carney here in Canada, because there are going to be a specific set of days that follow that. And it will happen where when Donald Trump's name comes off the Institute of Peace, it'll be highly televised. I will feel schadenfreude. I will be happy. When Donald Trump gets charged with extrajudicial murder, when he gets charged with treason, when he gets charged with sedition, when Pete Hegseth gets charged with murder, when Kristi Noem gets charged with bribery, theft, murder, insider trading, insider dealing, when Stephen Miller gets charged with crimes against humanity, you following me? When Steve Witkoff gets charged for aiding and abetting the enemy, sedition, and treason, and he gets shot in front of a group of peers, or he gets put on stand at The Hague, I'll take either. There are going to be those events. And for every single thing that you see where you shake your head and you go, this is fucking crazy, I can't believe this is happening in my country, just know that there will be a day where that gets rolled back, letters come down, sunlight gets shined into certain corners, financial, political, treasonous, seditious, where you will breathe this sigh of incredible patriotic relief if you are on the right side of history. Like an incredible sigh of relief. When Stephen Miller gets frog marched into The Hague and he gets put on the stand, the same one that Joseph Goebbels avoided, few other people didn't. You're going to be okay, because all of these things, as we talk about them, are crumbling under the floorboards of this shanty, this shitty fucking fascist shanty that Donald Trump has built on the beaches of bullshit. I swear to you,
beaches of bullshit. I love that.
It's gonna happen. Yeah, you're welcome. You can use it anytime. Just put Dean as soon as you're done looking parentheses. Dean Blundell said it was
trademark it.
So just bear with us, bear with America, bear with your better angels. Continue to do the good work. Continue to subscribe, free or paid. Doesn't matter to us. Share this content with as many people as humanly possible, because that is how you are going to win. And you're going to say, I remember back on December, is it the 4th today? Is this the 4th?
It's the 4th, yeah.
December the 4th, 2025. These two middle-aged snacks on a Substack Live gave me hope. I'm experiencing that today. Thanks, guys. So just wanted to put that in your head today.
That's really sweet. I like the way you put all that. And, just to underline what you're saying, the independent media that is doing all this work, whether it's T with This Will Hold, or Dean Blundell.substack.com, or Lev Parnas, or any of the many other people we feature on the show here on a regular basis, it's so important to back everybody and to keep sharing this content, because the way we've gotten here is because you have shared this content. We've gotten to this point where the Republican Party has realized what they're dealing with is because you at home have shared this content on various social media. You've gone and spoken about it to your friends. You've gone and spoke about it to your family on Thanksgiving dinner. You've shared these opinions and these news articles and these thoughts with a lot of people. And that's how this giant machine has been eroded down to this point where even the Republican Party can't stand their president. And most Americans, it seems, can't stand their president. His approval ratings are so low, they're almost at Nixonian levels. And it's because of the work of a lot of independent journalists. So keep up that work, because without that sharing, without this information getting to the right people, this doesn't happen. He gets to stay in power. That propaganda machine keeps on rolling on, and they'll continue to feed lies and hatred and do whatever injustice they can, stealing America's money, stealing America's future. They'll continue to do it unless you keep sharing this. Please do. Please subscribe to deanblundell.substack.com. Subscribe to me at narrative.org if you're not yet a subscriber. Subscribe to This Will Hold. She and her team there do impeccable work. I'm pretty, I don't support a lot of sites without really doing the hard work to understand what they're doing and who's doing it. And they've got some really great people involved there who seem to know exactly what's going on, who seem to be following the tracks, and who have the right data behind them. So please check out This Will Hold. It's great for her to come on today. And it's great, Dean, to see you on this new format that Substack gave us. A little different.
Yeah, we can bring more than 3 people onto a show, which is great. Yeah. I haven't checked out the functionality yet. We'll have a conversation about it. I think most important part is that y'all need to subscribe. Narrative.org is where you're going to find my friend Zev Shalev. Please go and subscribe. Share his work. His Greatest Heist series is out. Book 2, Chapter 4 is available right now. It's called The Storm, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It's just called The Storm.
5.
Chapter 5 is coming out this weekend. Okay,
Sunday. Sorry. I hope I finish it. It's really interesting. I'm knee deep in it. It's like going down a rabbit hole. You'll never get out of it. But it's like I'm there.
Okay, good. Go down the rabbit hole. Give him a paid sub. He does God's work, gives you context and history that nobody else does. He's the best investigative reporter when it comes to not just the financial crimes, but what went into making Jeffrey Epstein, what went into making Donald Trump, and none of it's good. So make sure you go and give him a sub. You can read all of his stuff there. Narrative.org, 1R, by the way, in narrative.org. That's where you'll find him. Over at deanblundell.substack.com. Come and check us out. I got a sweet deal for you right now. That deal is you can read all about Donald Trump Jr. getting $600 million of your dollars from his dad.
Such a good story. We didn't get to that today. This is a great story. This is a reason to go to deanblundell.substack.com right now. This is another Pentagon corruption scheme cooked up by the president and Don Jr. It just doesn't stop with these guys. And the details are so stunning. I really want you to go and read them on deanblundell.substack.com. And there's a bunch of stories there that we haven't even got to today. So
you can read all about how I'm a big Costco guy. They've stood up to Donald Trump. Now they're suing his dick off as well. And that's a canary in the coal mine story. So go and read it. It has a lot to do with the SCOTUS stuff. And you've got 25% off annual subscriptions right now. We're 4 founding members away from 30. So if you want to become a founding member, you only pay once, you never pay again, which is awesome. It'd be great to have you. You get unlimited access, and you can right now lock in 25% off for your annual subscriptions, and you can have that locked in for life. I think it's around $80. So minus 25%. I don't know what the number is because I'm really bad at math. And when she said binomial math, T at the start, I'm like, I'm just going to pretend I knew what she was saying. So anyway, but please go and subscribe. You are the lifeblood. Our paid subs are just incredible people. You always get the extra chance to communicate with us. Have your say here in the chat. The chat has been fucking live today. It's been absolutely awesome. Thank you all for engaging with us. Thank you for joining us again. Please share this, and we'll see you on the 5 Stack tomorrow for the Friday edition. We're back at 3:00, right? Is that the deal?
It might have to be a little later tomorrow, but I'll speak to you about that.
I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna get in trouble.
Are we in trouble?
I'm gonna get in trouble. Yeah. No.
Let's do it early. Do you want to do it early? Do you want to do it
like maybe 2 noon? Yeah, we'll do it at noon. We'll maybe just put out a little thing and say we'll do it at noon and then replay at 4. 3?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll discuss right after.
We'll
this. We'll
figure
get
it
back
out.
to everybody.
Okay, buddy.
Have a great
Thanks,
day,
guys.
everybody. See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.